Before you listen to this, make sure you're alone. What you're about to hear will change how you see every hospital, every night shift, every empty hallway after midnight. Dr. Elena Vasquez's body cam was found November 16th, 2024, exactly 72 hours after Millbrook General Hospital's East Wing was permanently sealed. What it captured explains why 5 people who've seen this footage are now missing. The 6th viewer, well, you're about to become the 6th. This is what was recorded. My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez. I'm 29 years old, and I've been head of night shift at Millbrook General for 3 years. I'm recording this because something impossible just walked into my hospital, and I need proof that I'm not losing my mind. The pay is $89,000 a year to keep people alive when the rest of the world sleeps. Most doctors won't take night shift. Most doctors are smart. I needed this job to pay off medical school debt that'll haunt me until I'm 50. My mom always said I was too stubborn for my own good. Tonight, she might be right. The ambulance just pulled up. 2 paramedics I've worked with for years, Jim and Sarah, are staring at an empty gurney like they've never seen one before. "Where's the patient?" Annoyed, I ask. Jim's eyes are completely vacant. "What patient?" Confused. But here's what's impossible. Dispatch logs show a 911 call from Millbrook Public Library. A woman in a red coat, unconscious, critical condition. When I pull the audio, there's only static that sounds like screaming. The gurney just rolled into Trauma Bay 3 by itself. I watched it happen. No one was pushing it. Security camera angle 7 confirms. Empty hands gripping the rail. Invisible footsteps leaving wet prints on sanitized floors that smell like roses and something that belongs in a morgue. But that wasn't the strangest part. She's here now. The woman in the red coat. Not materializing, not walking in, she's simply here. Like she's been sleeping on gurney 7 for hours. Her skin is 34 degrees Fahrenheit. No pulse. But the monitors show perfect vitals. Her chest rises and falls with mechanical precision. Beneath closed eyelids, her eyes are moving like she's watching something in a dream that will never end. The admission paperwork is filling itself out. I'm watching the pen move across forms that show a patient history dating back 17 years. Eleanor Marsh, age 62, monthly visits for chronic exhaustion. Always room 237. Always discharged after exactly 72 hours. But here's what the records don't show. None of us remember treating her. What happened next broke every rule I thought I knew about medicine. 3 nurses reported identical dreams last night, walking endless hospital corridors filled with rooms that don't exist on our floor plans. In each room, a patient in a red coat sleeping while machines beep rhythms that match no human heartbeat. Jenny Morrison, my best nurse, grabbed my arm this morning. Her grip left bruises. "Doctor, in the dream I tried to check on the woman in 237. My feet wouldn't move. Like I was trapped, just watching. 2 orderlies called in sick with symptoms that don't make medical sense, nausea, headaches, and terror of the East Wing, but their time cards show full shifts. Security footage shows empty hallways where they should have been working. The woman in 237 never moves, never speaks, never opens her eyes. But her presence is spreading through my hospital like a virus that infects reality itself." "Doctor!" Mr. Peterson's grip is impossibly strong for a man recovering from hip surgery. "The lady next door. She's not sleeping. She's waiting. Waiting for what?" His eyes fill with tears that shouldn't exist from a man on pain medication. "For us to acknowledge her." That's when I realized we weren't just treating a patient. We were being hunted. I found Margaret Wilds here, the librarian from Sarah Chen's case. She shouldn't be in my hospital. No one should be in this room at 2 a.m. You need to understand, she says, pulling out files that date back 40 years. The woman isn't contained to one location. She's expanding her territory, building her collection. Margaret looks like she's aged 20 years since last week. Her hands shake as she shows me disappearance reports. Night shift workers vanishing for decades, always following the same pattern. Hospitals are perfect hunting grounds, she whispers. People are already vulnerable. Their defenses are down, and when someone's dying, she meets my eyes. The veil between worlds is thinnest. She hands me a journal with rules written in handwriting that belongs to someone long dead. Never enter room 237 alone. Never acknowledge her presence outside the room. Never touch anything she leaves behind. Never listen if she calls your name. Never try to help her. The last rule is the hardest, Margaret warns. Every instinct you have as a doctor will tell you to help. Don't. The moment you try to treat her, she owns you. But the recording shows something that shouldn't be possible. She's walking the corridors now, that red coat trailing behind her like spilled blood, visiting every room in the East Wing.
Thus fund!
Standing at the foot of each bed for exactly 90 seconds before moving on, 17 patients reported the same dream, a woman in red asking them to trade places, promising to take away their pain if they would just take hers. Mrs. Rodriguez woke from a 6-week coma at 4:17 a.m. and spoke in a voice that wasn't hers. The night shift sees everything. The night shift remembers everything. The night shift never ends. She died 3 hours later. Her final words, "Tell Elena, the collection is almost complete." Then I realized the real horror was just beginning. I found her dealing cards to empty chairs, humming a lullaby that sounds like my grandmother's voice, mixed with the sound of machines keeping people alive. I followed Margaret's rules, didn't acknowledge her, poured my coffee, and left. When I returned 30 minutes later, 5 cups of coffee sat on the table, still steaming, 4 untouched. The 5th had lipstick marks the color of dried blood, a note in impossible handwriting. "Thank you for being such a dedicated doctor, Elena. Your patients are lucky to have someone who cares so much. Soon you can care for them forever." Tommy Martinez, night janitor, vanished during his rounds. Security footage shows him entering supply closet C7 on the 3rd floor. He never came out. Inside the closet, his mop bucket full of water that smells like roses, and a single red coat button that's warm to the touch despite the freezing air. Dr. Sarah Kim disappeared from the on-call room. Her pager kept going off for hours, but when we traced the signal, it led us to room 237. The woman was still there, still sleeping, but now she was smiling. What you're about to hear happened exactly as I describe it. The person who recorded it isn't missing anymore. 5 staff members gone in 2 days. I broke the rules. I entered room 237 alone at midnight. The woman lay exactly as she had for days, but the monitors showed something impossible. Heartbeats synchronized with people who weren't there. Brain activity mapping to locations throughout the hospital. On the screen beside her bed, names scrolled endlessly. David Morrison, librarian, 1987. Sarah Chen, librarian, 2024. Marcus Rivera, librarian, 2024. Tommy Martinez, janitor, 2024. Dr. Sarah Kim, physician, 2024. Hundreds of names. Decades of night shift workers. All people who worked alone in the dark, maintaining the boundary between day and night, between the living world and whatever lies beyond. I reached for her wrist to check for a pulse. Her eyes opened. "Hello, Elena," she said, and her voice was a harmony of everyone who'd ever vanished. "I've been waiting for you." The room filled with scents that shouldn't exist together. Roses and antiseptic and the smell of time itself. Old and dusty and infinite. "You've been such a good doctor," she continued, sitting up with movements too fluid for human anatomy. "So dedicated to helping people, so committed to saving lives." She stood, and her red coat billowed like wings made of blood. "Would you like to help people forever, Elena? Would you like to save every patient who ever walks through these doors?" Behind her I could see them. All the missing people, standing in rows, like a congregation of the damned. Their eyes held the same black emptiness, but traces of who they'd been remained. Sarah Chen clutched a library book. Marcus held his employee badge. Dr. Kim wore her stethoscope. "We're building something beautiful," the woman said. "A place where the night shift never ends, where dedicated workers like you can serve forever. No retirement, no aging, no death, just eternal service." She extended her hand, fingers stained with ink that moved like living shadows. "All you have to do is say yes." I should have run, should have screamed, should have followed Margaret's rules. Instead, I looked at the faces behind her. Really looked. They weren't mindless zombies. They were still themselves, still caring, still wanting to help. But trapped in an endless loop of service, forever working a night shift that would never end. "What happens to the people we were supposed to help?" I asked. Her smile faltered. "They find other doctors, other janitors. The work continues. But not by us, not by the people who chose to dedicate our lives to helping others." She tilted her head, confused. "You're not offering eternal service," I realized. "You're offering eternal imprisonment. You're taking away our choice to help, turning our dedication into chains." The woman's face began to change, the beautiful mask slipping to reveal something ancient and hungry underneath. "You will acknowledge me," she hissed, voice carrying the sound of wind through empty buildings, of time passing unobserved. "You will join us willingly, or..." Determined, "No." The word came out stronger than I expected. Around her, the collected workers began to stir, empty eyes focusing on me with something that might have been hope. "Carefully, I acknowledge that you exist," I said carefully. "But I don't acknowledge your right to take us. I don't acknowledge your authority over our choices." The woman shrieked, a sound that seemed to tear reality apart. The collected workers began to fade, becoming translucent, and for just a moment I could see who they really were, frightened people tricked into surrendering their agency. "You want night shift workers because we're already isolated, vulnerable. But we chose this work because we believe it matters. You can't force dedication. You can't manufacture compassion." She lunged toward me, but something was wrong. Her movements became erratic, uncertain. The red coat flickered between solid fabric and empty air. Firmly, "Without willing servants, you're just another predator," I said, "and predators die alone." "I'm recording this final message from my car. The sun is rising. Day shift workers are arriving for normal schedules that follow normal rules in a normal world. Room 237 is empty. The woman in the red coat is gone. The collected workers have vanished, and I hope, God I hope, they've found peace. 5 staff members were found unconscious in various locations this morning. No memory of the past 3 days, but physically unharmed. Dr. Kim is back in the ICU. Tommy is mopping floors. The medical records for Eleanor Marsh have disappeared. Room 237 shows no occupancy history. Security footage is corrupted, showing only normal hospital operations. But I remember all of it. She's not gone forever. She'll find new hunting grounds, new night shift workers to collect. The woman in the red coat isn't just a ghost. She's a system that feeds on dedication twisted into servitude. If you work alone at night, if you've chosen a job serving others, if you've ever felt the weight of responsibility for people's lives, be careful. Remember that true service comes from choice, not compulsion. Real dedication can't be stolen or collected. And if you ever see a woman in a red coat, if she seems lost or in need of help, remember that some offers of eternal service are really offers of eternal imprisonment. Remember that the night shift should have an end. Remember that you always have a choice. My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez. I was the head of night shift at Millbrook General Hospital. I quit this morning, moving to day shift work somewhere with windows and natural light, somewhere that closes at 5 p.m. and doesn't need a night shift, because some responsibilities are too dangerous to bear alone in the dark. Dr. Elena Vasquez was found working as a pediatric nurse at Millbrook Children's Daycare Center. When asked about her hospital work, she claims no memory of night shifts or any woman in a red coat. Her personnel file shows she has worked exclusively day shifts her entire career. This body cam footage was discovered with Marcus Rivera's library badge and a single red rose that hasn't wilted in 3 weeks. Have you ever felt watched while working alone at night? Are you absolutely sure you're safe right now? Check behind you.